Microsoft restarts 3 Mile Island, and the future of AI, according to Sam Altman. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by the new MacVoices Discord, available to all of our MacVoices patrons. Sign up and join in the conversation in your new favorite online group at patreon.com/MacVoices. The next one I have hits kind of close to home. And I mean that, whoops, wait a minute. Sorry, I haven't messed that up. I mean that quite literally, because I happen to live about 20 miles from 3 Mile Island. And now Microsoft plans to restart the nuclear reactor.
Behind you.
Well, now, I'm the one that's glowing.
Watching Chucky glow.
Yeah. No, thanks, Marty. So, there's so many things that I could joke about this, but I'm not sure if I'm disturbed by it, other than the fact that it's Microsoft starting something near me. But beyond that, of them buying up, in theory, having the right to all the power output of a nuclear reactor. Is this forward thinking? Is this bad? Where do you guys stand with this? Jim?
I think. Well, first of all, it's just like Oprah's now got all the rights to her documentary, and Microsoft's got all the rights to this power plant. You apply money and you get all the rights. But the thing that really surprised me about this story was that apparently 3 Mile Island only shut down in 2019, which I had no idea. So that was what really surprised me. I guess I assumed it had shut down back in the 70s, but no, that didn't happen.
I don't think it was at the same capacity during the last few years.
Yeah, I think they shut down the part that maybe was affected, but the rest of it was still going. And I didn't know that, and from stories I saw, most people didn't know that.
Well, of course, being here, I knew. And to be very clear, this is the one reactor that they're not talking about messing with is the one that did melt down or had the problem. And there were others that did not have problems that stayed in use for quite some time. And the demand and the cost effectiveness just wasn't there. Now, with all the energy consumption issues that AI is bringing about, that seems to have changed. And Microsoft I don't know if this is the first one of these, but it's really interesting. The article claims that it will provide Microsoft with enough energy to power 800,000 homes. And again, no homes will be getting that energy. So,
yeah, but they're paying for it.
Yeah, they're paying for it.
Yeah, they're not taking it away from 800,000 homes. I think I'm really glad that they're not burning coal to get all that energy.
No, that's long gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Eric?
There's still coal being burned.
Not as much.
No, yeah, but you said long gone, which it's not gone yet.
Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, this is an awful lot of cost in power to make AI work. Every once in a while there's an article about AI where they say, well, how much does it cost to make this work, and how much do we get out of it? And I'm still wondering how do you make AI actually cost effective so you're not basically subsidizing every AI query out there? How do you get a company that actually makes money on AI? Because it seems like the subscription companies, every query costs more than the money of the subscription. And that's never really been clear to me. And the fact that you might restart, a nuclear reactor to be able to power your AI doesn't give me great confidence that it's going to be more efficient and less energy intensive.
Well, isn't Bitcoin using more energy than this? It's
That's not helpful.
well,
That's a problem.
right, but I mean, it's not one transaction where somebody is privately. I mean, it seems to me like this is, sort of Microsoft's management and people deciding whether or not to be shareholders. It's not up to me to decide whether this is a good thing for Microsoft or not. They apparently think that they will be able to make this back. I don't know, but I assume they thought about it long and hard before they did that. And who knows? We'll see. I'm not a super big fan of AI, but I'm not necessarily, it's not up to me, and I don't know. Maybe it's great.
Marty?
Yeah, this article is funny. I mean, if you read through it, the author is taking some real shots like, look, if it takes an entire nuclear power plant so we can ask Bing to whip up an image of Steve Urkel in space riding on a skateboard, then we got to do it. And so there's a couple of places in the article where he's really taking a shot at the extravagance of it. I kind of think this could be a branding nightmare. I mean, do you want to associate your company, for whatever condition the situation is now, with a nuclear power plant that had a partial meltdown? I just kind of see this as not being the kind of, and this is where we do all our power generation. I just think it's problematic.
Marty, I see parallels between TMI and some of the team's experiences I've had as far as meltdowns go. So maybe there's, maybe branding is right on track. I don't know. Cletus says it's a pretty good deal. We are so energy poor right now, and it's not funny. And having their own power plant is a smart purchase. Cletus, I hear you, and I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, all the joking aside, and the concerns over, we call it here TMI, so 3 Mile Island. The rest of the operation went very smoothly for all those years after the meltdown, and it just became not economical. Now it's suddenly economical again. So, and thank you, Webb. Webb apparently has offered me his spare bedroom. I appreciate that, Webb. Thank you.
Webb's so nice.
Yeah. Jeff?
He's so kind.
Yeah. Just a little pedantic note. Microsoft isn't starting up 3 Mile Island. Microsoft hasn't bought 3 Mile Island. Microsoft is going to be the exclusive purchaser of power produced from 3 Mile Island over a 20-year contract. Okay, so now that said, holy crap, if your power resources to produce your Steve Urkel images requires that much power, that is kind of damning for the state of the generative AI industry right now. The amount of energy it takes to produce the result from even a simple query, not as something as sophisticated as make this very specific Steve Urkel image, is shocking. I realized what I just did there, and it wasn't intentional. But it's crazy how much power this takes, and looking at Microsoft and them saying, we've run the numbers through an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to need this much power, and it's worth it for us to become the exclusive customer for 3 Mile Island. Holy crap. What sort of environmental impact are we having with the proliferation of generative AI in its current state? This is not good.
Well, I'm not sure if that's true though, because we look and say, oh well, it's whole entire power plant, I just looked it up. There are 11,000 power plants in the U.S., utility scale power plants.
Mhm.
So we're talking about 1/11,000th approximately of the capacity of the grid in the United States. That's not really a big deal.
But it's also a big deal because of how much power it produces. So yes, compared to the overall production of power, it's not significant from that perspective, but when you look at how much power it is and how much power it requires to do these things, that's a significant amount of power. And Microsoft is one company. So how many other companies need to have this level of power to produce or to make their AI products run?
2 or 3. I mean, by definition, that there's only going to be a handful of companies that are going to be big enough for this kind of play.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Eric, I know how you have to go at the top of the hour and we're past it. Thank you so much for being here, you and your Kiwis. Where can folks connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can reach me at EA Bolden at techhub.social on Mastodon.
Great. Thanks for being here, Eric. Hope to see you next week.
Yeah.
See you.
Night.
See you. Jeff, let me push back on that just for a second, for me being devil's advocate. Right now, this is the kind of power required to do the AI that we're doing now. Don't you think there's a fair chance, given the way that things have always happened in technology, that things will become more efficient and therefore then the demands for you to create your completely innate image will go way down, or the cost of doing so will go way down to the point that AI should become a lot more affordable, whatever that means. And that might, to Jim's point about just a few companies having access to it, might that not make AI more accessible to a lot of us at a much lower cost, dollar-wise and environmentally?
Possibly. But I also expect that the needs will increase, meaning the demand for the services will increase, and the service that's provided will get more sophisticated. So will the improvement in chip and power efficiency outweigh that? I don't know. I did see. Oh, I wish I had saved a link for this. I saw an article a few days ago talking about OpenAI's plans and what they're trying to achieve. That OpenAI just themselves, they project that they need to have multiple chip foundries producing chips just for them, and they need to have multiple power plants for their uses, and the cost estimate for what OpenAI wants, so that they can continue to produce what they're doing and grow in the way they expect to grow. We're talking about investments in the trillions of dollars, which to me is just absolutely insane. I mean, who can actually really visualize what $1 trillion is? So yes, you may be right. My fear, though, is that usage will outpace the improvements, the efficiency improvements that we get, and that the power consumption and other resource consumption is just going to continue to grow.
I've been doing some research here offline. Bitcoin currently uses about 200 times as much energy as would be generated by this plant.
Holy crap! That's insane. That's ridiculous. How can this be okay?
And does nothing.
And does nothing. Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay, so putting the devil's advocate hat back on, okay? How much does it cost environmentally and in dollars and cents to print and mint dollars and cents and administrate the treasury.
Well,
And now
cents are very expensive.
yeah,
Dollars
well,
are very
yeah,
cheap.
well, but dollars are expensive in as far as paper goes, and far as I mean, look, my point is that I don't think it's fair to say that, and I'm defending Bitcoin for no other reason than I can, but you know, it does do something. It facilitates transactions.
It uses 160 terawatt hours of electricity annually, which equals all the electricity consumption of New York State and about a third of Texas's consumption.
But that's global.
The Treasury does not use that much to.
No, not the Treasury specifically, but everything associated with the currency systems. I mean, if you're going to compare apples to apples, let's try.
Actually,
comparing.
I saw something. It uses, twice as much. Wait a minute. I don't know. There was something I saw in this research comparing it to the entire banking system, and it was anyway. Bitcoin.
That would be an
Bitcoin does
interesting
nothing.
number.
It's you're using electricity to do nothing. If you look at how it works.
Yeah. Yes, Jim is absolutely right. When you want to gain value out of Bitcoin you've collected, what do? You have to get someone to give you actual money for it. So it's not even like this can replace the currencies that people are already using. This is just a magical, mystical way to have pretend money that hopefully someone will decide they'd rather have, and then they give you real money for it. And I know there are Bitcoin people out there that right now their eyes are bleeding to hear me say that, but.
I didn't really mean to derail this, on Bitcoin, which I think is a great topic, but not this topic. I just wanted to put into context the amount of energy spending on AI versus, other things. So if you look at it and say, oh my God, it's an entire power plant. Yeah, but compared to all the electricity use of New York State and Texas, it's, not that much.
Yeah. Want to bring the chat room back in here. Let's see. So Cletus says, how much power? He's trying to remember how much power did it take when Apple built a big something farm in California. Meta is building solar. It said solar. Yeah. Solar. Thank you. Meta is building something in Ohio, and they're literally sucking electrical warehouse is dry, trying to supply them. Let's see. And Webb came back and said, I have Meta, Google, and AWS building huge data centers within 10 miles of my home and Chuck's bedroom. Thank you, Webb. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And Jim, I'm having a little fun with you on the comparing the currency thing, because Jeff, you're right. But you don't, for me to get something out of Bitcoin, if I have Bitcoin, I can go different places and I can buy things with Bitcoin, and it never needs to see the dollar transition. It's just, okay, this thing is 4 Bitcoin, and I give you my 4 Bitcoin and you give me the thing. Just like if it's $4, I give you $4 and you give me the thing. So it does, and I want to be fair here. Was it Eric? Yeah, no. I'm sorry, I lost oh yeah, there we go. It is Eric Wood. Eric Wood says Bitcoin facilitates a lot of criminal activity, at least. I see crypto.
At least.
Yeah. I see crypto as a means of wealth transfer
much like
too.
Congress.
Someone. Well, yeah, that's another discussion. One can buy low, wait, and sell high. I would say can buy low, wait, and sell high to take someone else's wealth. So yeah, this is a whole nother topic, but it's interesting.
I'm talking about specifically
it came up here.
Bitcoin mining.
Right. Since we're on this topic, I wanted to post this article. This has been written up a number of places, but this is the original posting by Sam Altman to his blog about what he thinks could be coming in the way of AI and what it could do for us. And he's projecting it could be measured in thousands of days as opposed to years, as opposed to a lot of years. So I thought this is just really interesting, an interesting read. If you're into, if you're into this, if what he proposes comes true, it'll be great. But there's going to be a lot of pain along the way.
I need to read this before I can offer what I will pretend to be an intelligent opinion. However, going into it, I have to try and temper the fact that that I see and many other people see Sam Altman as a snake oil salesman, a scam artist extraordinaire, and a master bullcrapper. Look, I just saved you an edit.
Thank you. How do you really feel, Jeff?
When he went to see TSMC recently to try and score chip production from them, they blew him off like their C-suite. They're like, yeah, no, we're not interested, and they referred to him as a podcast bro. That's how little TSMC was interested in working with him. But I'm going to read this piece because I am interested to see what he has to say.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to just dismiss him completely because of what he's been able to accomplish so far, and the impact that what he has accomplished has already made on our world, for better and worse. So, is he a bit ambitious? Is he a bit too much of a futurist? I don't know. But just like some other people we can name, there's no denying whether you like them or don't like them. They have made a huge, huge difference and impact in the way we do things.
Mm-hmm.
And, can we and will we
on that?
Yeah. Can we or will we ever go back, Jeff, is a question I want to ask.
I will give him this on a quick read through. It doesn't appear it was written by ChatGPT.
Oh, that's kind of funny, actually. Chuck, you're right. This has made a huge impact, and do I see us going back? No, I see us evolving and changing, and maybe we won't be using these tools 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the way we are today. But a perfect example of the usefulness in a legit sense for generative LLMs. Look at the stuff Marty does with tools like ChatGPT. Like, Marty, watching you talk about what you're doing and show what you're doing at MacStock this year and last year, it just blew me away. Super impressive.
Thanks. I read through this article and I can see why you were interested in this article, Chuck. It adds a little deeper thinking about what the issues are that are coming out in AI. It's kind of a nice essay in that way. I don't think any of this is too surprising or too future thinking about it, and it might be just the way I line up with some of what's said here. Yeah. And if you don't want to read the article, just run through ChatGPT and ask for the key points.
Yeah.
Marty, this is why I love you.
Jeff, and to the whole times that I feel like we're at a stage with AI where we were when we first got fonts, where you just endlessly play with them and are enamored with the fact that you can play with them. And then after a while, you just get tired and you learn a little bit more about how to use them properly and effectively. And then they become tools as opposed to playthings. Do you
it's
think I'm that
interesting
far
that
off?
you should. I'm not sure I agree with that, but since you brought that up, an interesting thing that I've noticed is that fonts have kind of become a non-issue for the most part over the past decade or so. Most things are either pure text or they're on the web, and most people just don't fuss with fonts like they used to. Because for one thing, the output of things is not printed paper anymore.
I give you that, Jim. I agree with that. I don't know. Brian, I know you had something in that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I was just saying your comment on the fonts. Some people still can't use them effectively. They're using Comic Sans, and they shouldn't be.
All right, Chuck, what's the default font in Word?
I don't know because
totally putting you on the spot with this.
Yeah, no, and I don't mind because I don't use Word, but it's a serif font, I believe. Isn't it one though that Microsoft appropriated for themselves or modified for their own use?
You're thinking of their system font. And Brian in our private chat is right. The default font for Microsoft Word currently is Calibri, and I asked you that because it kind of drives home your point. People don't care what their fonts are anymore unless they're using Comic Sans or Papyrus. It's when you get to the designers, those are the people that care what their fonts are. Everyone else is going to use their default font and probably just leave it at that. They might do something really crazy with it, like put blue text on a red background because they think that's super cool, or they're colorblind or something. But no, people don't care what font they're using. They have no idea.
And certainly, people aren't buying fonts and installing custom fonts. It's like, well, whatever's on the system, I'll pick one of those.
Yeah, well, Adobe kind of killed that market.
I used to have all these fonts that I bought and had it installed in suitcases and all this.
Yeah, and we used like Font Agent Pro or Extensive Suitcase, and because we had to manage all our fonts.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, there's Apple gives me enough fonts. I just pick one of them, and that's it.
It looks like I'm being corrected in the chat, and it recently changed to Aptos. I thought that was the new system font, but if it's also the new default font in Word, well, there you go. Here I am, someone that's in the font world, and even I screwed it up. That shows you how much people care about fonts anymore.
Yeah, your points are well taken, and let's see who said it. Oh, Brian, your comment about contrast.
Oh yeah, I think even more important than font. Sometimes it's just the visualization of contrast. Can you see what it is that the presenter is trying to show you without burning into your eyes? Like a white background or a light colored background with the dark lettering. It's, in my opinion, so much easier to read when it's the other way around, when you have a light colored on a dark background.
It's not just you.
No. No, I can say from someone who just sat through some presentations that just made my eyes bleed and my brain explode. I don't, that's a whole nother discussion. From a design standpoint, and Jeff, you make a real good point. Both you and Jim make good points about people not caring as much, but maybe that's because they have gone through that process and gone through that giddy period of having 20 fonts in a document.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I mean, look, how many times am I going to really need in the future to tell ChatGPT or whatever large language model or AI that I need a picture of a whale with wearing a beanie? It's just not going to happen. Right now it's, let's see what this turns out like. And you do it. But at some point, I'm going to be more interested in summarizing a 20-page document down to one page.
I'll tell you how you'll use it for graphics. And Apple already showed us. One of the features in Apple Intelligence is the ability to look at the content you've created, written, and then to create images based on that for you. That's how people will use it more often in the future, I think. That they won't even insert prompts into a system to create a graphic for them. They're going to let their document suggest what images they need, or you just highlight some text, say, I want an image to go along with this, and then it just makes it for you.
Do you see that as and again, this I'm not having this conversation with Jeff. I want everybody to be in on it. Is that a proper or reasonable use of AI that really does make you more productive and improve your communications?
It depends. Like the example, okay, that was a horrible answer, but it was also true. Okay, look at the example Apple gave when they're showing off Apple Intelligence. And it was someone, they were making notes about something, and they needed to have an image, like a drawing or something, to go along with it, so it'd be easier to see what they were talking about. And then it just created that for their notes. That's great. I think this is not the right tool, even as it evolves. Like if you decide you're going to create marketing content for your company, this isn't how you make the graphics that go along with that.
Okay. So I got to take this just a little farther. So is design going to go back to being the purview of designers and not the rest of us?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. I think more design will trickle down to people who are not designers, simply because the tools are there. Some people use them well, some people won't. And of course, we'll still have our graphic designers. We'll still have our marketing companies. It's sort of like that transition we saw when Quark Express and Adobe PageMaker first. When Aldus PageMaker was released, and it took the whole publishing and printing space and moved it onto the desktop, and anyone could make a document theoretically that could be thrown on a press and printed, and that revolutionized how printing and publishing was done professionally. And I think we will see some of that happen here, but because those tools are available now, anyone can make something and send it off to their printer, and hopefully gets printed. Probably not on a press, but it can get printed. We're seeing that same sort of evolution happening here now. So it will continue. We'll have the people that aren't trained or don't have the eye to produce the content, making it, but then we'll still have the professionals that are doing it as well.
I guess we will see.
Also, I feel stupid that I didn't realize that the Aptos thing had happened. It was only several months ago. You'd think I would have caught up on that by now. Boo on me.
Jeff, I'll give you a pass on that because they look so much the same that I don't think I realized it either until there were some edicts given that we needed to start using Aptos. So figure it out. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, Consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.